I've had a simple idea in mind for a while that I'd like to try to explain and share with you, which is that you need to advertise your beliefs before you advertise your product. Before you can ask people to adopt an innovative product, service, or process or experience, the first thing that you need to keep in mind is that you're asking them to change something in their life. You're asking them to change the way they do something, the way they normally do something. So you're going to ask them to go from a narrative that is normal to them, that they've accepted for a long time, that helps them do something with less friction as possible. It's easy, they know how to do it, to a narrative that is now transformative. You're about to transform their life, the way they actually operate. And in fact, it's not the change that is going to be so hard. Change by nature is good and is typically accepted by people on paper, right? In the concept of change, the thing that you change is easily accepted by people. What's hard is for people to let go of certain habits that they will have to disappear with that change. It's hard for them to lose, for instance, comfort, to lose status, to lose well-oiled habits with the new narrative that you're telling them to adopt. So let's say you want them to take the bus instead of taking their car to go to work or to go shopping. The first thing to do is that you have to make sure that they understand why the philosophy of taking the bus matters so much, especially if that's something really new to them. Here's another example. If you want, let's imagine you're a book publisher and you start selling Bibles. How are you going to sell Bibles to people who don't believe in God, right? It's going to be really hard. Good luck with that. First of all, the belief system that your product requires is so critical, it's so important, it comes first, right? And so how do you do that? How do you advertise your beliefs before you advertise your product? Well, it's through meaningful marketing, which is one of the 4 disciplines of building a strategic narrative. Meaningful marketing is about marketing an idea by making it useful, by making it relevant, by making it urgent to adopt. And the way you do this is by considering that you're going to have to go communicate, have conversation with people, also listen to their feedback and engage with them before, way before they can even consider adopting the new innovative product that you have. Way before they would consider buying a Bible, people have to really understand why it is even important that they adopt a religion, right? Even before they choose what kind of religion. So I was in a conversation yesterday, actually today, with the host of a podcast who would like to have me on this podcast to interview me. And he asked me, so why do you want to be a host on podcast? Like, what's your motivations? And I have several motivations. One of my motivations is to connect with more like-minded people. Another motivation, obviously, is to at some point advertise, yes, my services, but advertise for a new way of thinking about building companies that I call strategic narrative. And hopefully that's the way you understand now that helps you build more inspiring companies, more meaningful companies, more impactful companies. So these are my motivations. And the way I see this activity of being on podcast is actually having an impact already. I don't get paid to be on podcast, but my marketing, my impact starts with my marketing. And that's an idea that I borrow from George Cao, who has this, who says that Your impact starts with your marketing. Your ministry starts with your marketing. That's his idea. Like, marketing is your ministry. You start having an impact. You start improving people's life through your marketing. You shouldn't wait to be paid or sell something to understand that you have an impact. Already talking about the beliefs that come with your innovation is already having an impact. And so that's one of my motivations when I go on podcast, when I practice meaningful marketing. I consider that I already have an impact on people's mind. I help them shift the way they think and they look at things. And I practice my marketing way before, way before people will even consider buying some of my services, if they one day consider buying one of my services. But that's another debate. That's another question. I when I go on a podcast, I don't even care if they're going to buy my services at some point. So advertising your belief before you advertise your product, start with this mindset. Start with the mindset of abundance. Start with the mindset of growth, of generosity, in taking the time to explain why the change that you have to offer is going to be meaningful to people. Why it matters that people change their habit today. Why now? Why does it matter in our world, our society, that maybe we change our consumption habits? Say you have you launch a second use service or a store that helps people reuse equipment, say sports equipment. I'm just making it up, right? The first thing that you need to ensure is that people understand why it matters now. Why does it matter now? Well, it matters now because we have to come to the realization that we probably can't overproduce anymore. Our planet can't sustain it anymore. And so recycling is a good practice. It's a new philosophy. It's a new religion that people have to really understand. So the first thing to do is to show why it's urgent now, why it matters now. Another thing to do is to explain to them why it is going to be useful to them, but indirectly useful to them too, because it's going to help their community, right? It's going to help the environment, because then we have probably less of a reason to produce more, and so it has a lower footprint on the planet, on our ecosystem, on the CO2 level of emissions. Why is this going to be useful to them? Why is this going to be relevant to them? Why is it urgent now? And why is the change consequential, right? What happens if we don't adopt that change? What is it that they have to lose? What are the stakes, right? What does chaos, what does defeat, what does it look like if they don't change their habit? All of that is a conversation that has to happen way more and way before you can propose that they go to your second use service or your second use store. And that's what I call meaningful marketing. It's aligning your purpose with the purpose of your market, right? It's also understanding that what you have to offer is probably not for everyone, and that's okay. All will not follow. But if you have to have an impact, if you want to have an impact, if you want to build a company that has true impact on society, this is the place to start. As I'm thinking about this, I think about the effort I've put into my own marketing. In the last 12 months, I've been on 22 podcasts. I think that's about the number, 22 or 23 podcasts. In the last 2 years, I've published more than 400 articles. I have published by now, I think my YouTube channel has probably 75 videos, which is which is a small number in my opinion, but still it's there. And I have a small number of follow-up, of a very small number of follow-up on my followers on my YouTube video. But as I think about this, I remind myself all the time that in doing so, this is how I have an impact, right? Some people somewhere may have listened to my video and changed the course of their business. They may have thought about strategy differently. And that's where I start. How will I get rewarded? I get rewarded because that impact excites me. So there is a personal reward, and eventually, and maybe indirectly, people will come to me and buy some of my services. I have workshops, I have courses, and I just launched a new coaching program to help people with their own personal strategic narrative, and maybe launch a company if they're interested. So I always remind myself of that, and I'd like to remind yourself of that, is that meaningful marketing can't be this mindset of I'm looking for my words here, but can't be limited to just a moment when you need to sell stuff. And that actually reminds me of another quick story I want to share with you. I'm on the email list of somebody who's an amazing copywriter and who facilitates a workshop once a year for a few weeks or maybe a couple months. And I noticed that what she does is that she only emails people the month before her workshop. And she has a tendency to try to make it as if it's not related to her workshop, and really like show how she can write really well, and then gets to yes, you should sign up to my workshop, and puts a little bit of pressure and creates fear of missing out by saying things like, yeah, it's only limited to such number of people and you should hurry because it's filling up fast. So bringing that mindset of scarcity, right? And I although I love this person, the work of this person, and the impact that she wants to have, and the quality of the work that she produces, I reply to her and say, look, you should not only write to us, you should not only expose us to your beliefs when you need to do a workshop and when you need money, right? It's inauthentic, and it doesn't give us enough time for understanding why we should come to your workshop and why we should buy from you. So that's an example of a transformative service, like being a better writer is a transformative service. That's an example of something you shouldn't do. So I responded to her and said that, and she said she's thanked me for that, and she's now actually writing and sharing her thoughts on a more regular basis, which creates more trust, which creates better relationships, which really helps her explain why her service matters more than before. Why does this matter that we become better copywriters, right? Why does this really matter? Why does this really matter now than before? It's because we are in a society where everybody gets to express themselves through video making, like here, or through writing, right? And so being a better writer can really boost your career, transform your life, can get you a better job, can get you a promotion, or can get you to really again advertise your beliefs for a product that is going to revolutionize the way society works, for instance. So consider the simple idea. Hopefully my explanation makes sense. Hopefully it helps. Hopefully my examples make sense. As always, I hope this helps, and I look forward to hearing your comments, and thank you for giving me the chance. I'm grateful for you to giving me the chance to explain this idea to you.